Hello and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jibran and I am back again with the third part of the video. In the second part of the video, I already told what it will be, but as a recap, this video will be about non-mandatory insurances in Germany and what are the benefits of it. Ram will going to tell us all about it. Let's hear from him.
The first and foremost non-mandatory insurance, which is the most important insurance in Germany, is the liability insurance. Although the liability insurance is not mandatory, but the damages that you cause to a person or a thing, and the costs that incur in repairing this damage or in taking care of this damage to a person have to be mandatorily paid by you. As per the law, it's mandatory to pay for these damages, but it's not mandatory to have this insurance. So indirectly, because it's mandatory by law, or it's you have to pay for these damages, so it makes a lot of sense to go for this liability insurance. And the other most important thing is, if you are a tenant, it already makes a lot of sense to go for the liability insurance. Reason being because you might be in a furnished or an unfurnished house or an apartment, and the apartment doesn't belong to you, and the liability insurance says that it covers all damages done to third-party things. So since the apartment belongs to your owner, any damages that happen in the apartment will be covered. For example, there is some rainwater coming in through the window and the floor is damaged, that is covered by the liability. Accidentally there is a fire because of some hot oil falling onto the kitchen, a working plate or anything in the kitchen is getting damaged, and the kitchen belongs to the owner, landlord. So those will also be covered by the liability insurance. And when you're vacating, the owner could talk about a few scratches on the wall, some of the curtains are damaged, or your kids have damaged a few things, or there are some scratches on the floor or some bumps in the floor and so on. For all this, wherever the owner feels that he needs claim for this, they need to be repaid, or he wants you to pay for the damages, that's when the liability insurance comes into the picture and helps you a lot. And the next reason why everybody should have liability insurance is because you should consider the fact when unintentionally or even without your knowledge, we injure somebody else. A very simple example is, this happens to many people. You're walking on the footpath and somebody on the bicycle comes from behind and he loses balance, or there is somebody else on the cycle path and he's trying to avoid them, and then he's hitting you and falling down, and he's hospitalized because it was a very severe injury. Then yes, obviously, because he would have medical insurance, the medical insurance would take care of him completely. It could be 1 month long, 2 months long, 3 months long, doesn't matter, but they will take care of him completely with the medical insurance. But when the time comes for paying the bills, that's when a check would be done if a third party was involved. So involved in the sense, we don't have to cause the accident, but we were there in the scene, or we were the cause. We were one of the causes for the accident. He came and hit me, but in spite of it, yes, it's considered that if I was not there, maybe it would have not happened. If me and my friend were not there, then this accident would not have happened. So in this case, me and my friend who are involved in this particular accident would be liable. That's where this word comes in. Would be liable to pay for all the medical bills. In my case, if I have an insurance, yes, my liability insurance will pay for these medical bills of the third party. And if my friend, he doesn't have this insurance, then he will have to pay the 50% of those bills. So normally these bills amount up to 10,000 to 20,000 euros, and your insurance normally takes care of it. And if you do not have this insurance, which only costs about 10 euro a month, this liability insurance, and bills could be 10,000 euro, and just because you do not have this insurance, you end up paying these bills. And the worst is when this person who is injured is so severely injured that he's disabled for life, could be, And in this case, if he is disabled for life and he cannot work anymore, the people who are involved, me and my friend, would be liable to pay or to support him for the rest of his life. In this case, the law says your income of you and your friend, or me and my friend, can be used to support this other person for the rest of his life. So hence it makes whether you live in a rented apartment, whether you live in your own apartment, whether you live in a student wohnung, doesn't matter. Whether you're a student, it doesn't matter. You always need the liability insurance. This is also an advice for the students who come to Germany. They are always told, please take your travel insurance, please take your health insurance, but nobody tells them about the liability insurance. Because liability insurance doesn't see whether you are a student, a child, or a working person. It only sees whether you were involved in this scenario or not. And if you're involved, then you're liable to pay for all the damages.
So is there any other insurance besides liability insurance?
Yes, there are definitely. There is this house insurance. So house insurance is pretty simple. If I own the apartment, the liability is definitely not going to cover everything in the apartment because it belongs to me. It doesn't belong to a third party. So everybody or anybody who owns an apartment or a house, they have to take the house insurance. And when should a person who is living in a rented apartment, when should he have a house insurance then? If you have, if the furniture in the apartment belongs to you and you have bought everything new and you have the bills for everything, and most importantly, if the kitchen was purchased by you, then it makes a lot of sense because the kitchen is normally expensive. It costs anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 euro, and spending 10 euro per month on the house insurance is really a lot of benefit if you're insuring your kitchen and the other furniture in the apartment worth 10,000 euro. So people who live in rented apartments, if they own a lot of expensive furniture and if they own the kitchen, as soon as you own the kitchen, forget it, just take the house insurance as well. Because even if one appliance in your kitchen, because of short circuit, because if it gets burned or if all the appliances get burned, then liability is not going to pay for those because those don't belong to your landlord, they belong to you. So everything that belongs to you in the apartment, if you want it insured, then yes, you need the house insurance as well. And on the other side, people who own the apartment, who own their own house, then yes, they anyways have to take the house insurance because it covers a lot more than everything that the liability covers for third party, the house insurance covers for you.
I think it also covers if you have a cycle or something, if it gets stolen from it.
Yes, all these things also, they will go into the house insurance. You have to include them. If you have an expensive bicycle, you have to have it included in your house insurance, and everything that you feel is expensive in your house, you have to make sure you mention and you get it covered. Then the other most important non-mandatory insurance is the legal insurance. So any person who is working in Germany, who has a family in Germany, it already makes a lot of sense to have the legal insurance. Important reason is because you might have a liability insurance, but there are several cases which arise where the party on the other side is not cooperating with you. Pretty simple example is we talked about this small accident scenario where, for example, you are involved in the accident and then the other person is not cooperating and he doesn't accept to pay the liability insurance. The health insurance asks him and he doesn't respond. So it could lead to a legal issue. Also, legal issue is normally divided into 4 parts. We have private life, we have work life, then we have road related, and we have apartment related. So for all tenants who are living in rented apartments, any issues with the landlord, because we have several cases where the landlord refuses to pay back the caution deposit, and in Munich, for example, the caution deposit is very expensive. It's like 3 times your monthly, and it's approximately 4,500 euro, and that's a lot of money. And some of the landlords seem to be taking advantage of the fact that We have no information on how the legalities work here, so they tend to hold back the caution deposit, and we assume maybe it's our fault and we tend to ignore. But the concept is not that. The landlord is supposed to ask you to pay for the repairs that have to be done in the house, not hold back your entire caution. Your caution is €4,000, and the entire repairs in the house might cost 100 or 200 euro. So in this case, if he doesn't listen to you, if is not willing to talk to you, you will have to send him a legal notice. And in your private life and with your kids, if there are any issues in Kita, daycare, or with neighbors, then also legal insurance helps you.
And how much it usually costs, like average?
Legal insurance costs, for including all these 4 aspects, on an average up to €25, not more than that. And the good thing in Germany is that all these 3 insurances, the legal insurance, the liability insurance, and the house insurance, you don't pay extra for your family. It's the same cost either for a single person or a family. So it makes more sense that you're already saving. If there are 3 people in the family, including your kid, then you're already paying once for 3 instead of 3 times.
That totally
so
makes sense.
Then we also have an accidental insurance. Some of the companies, by default, we are talking about not the default accidental insurance, which is there for everybody because of the health insurance. This only helps you when you're going to the office and coming back from the office. So anything happens in between this, there is a small accidental insurance which takes care of bringing you to the hospital charges, and all these are covered. But when you talk about we are talking about the private accidental insurance now, which takes care of all the things outside this. So which means anything that happens to you,
vacation or something.
In your personal time, from Thursday evening till Monday morning, whatever you do in your free time, and during this time, if you're not in Germany, if you're outside Germany, and if something happens, and you for some reason have to be brought to the hospital, and then such costs have to be borne by you if you do not have an accidental insurance. So some of the companies do provide the private accidental insurance. It also has 2 components called death sum, where in case of death they offer 10,000 to 50,000 euro, and for example, my company offers me 5 times the annual salary in case of death, and 10 times the annual salary in case of disablement. So such things are there. Such things are not there by default in the default accidental insurance, which is there in our health insurance.
Any insurance left?
Yes, we also have the most important one, which we have heard about this in India as well, the LIC, or the life insurance. For example, and life insurance, many of you know about it, and also if you haven't taken it in Germany, it's a good thing to have, because especially in families where we have a single earning person, so the whole family is dependent upon this person's salary. So if something were to happen to this person, then you need some kind of compensation, for at least one-time compensation, where you can settle some things down. Because mostly if it's a case of a single earner, I guess they will have to go back to their motherland, because if the other partner is not able to make at least the living expenses in Germany, and so you need some basic costs, or maybe if you have a mortgage in Germany, or if you have an apartment, if you have a private credit, or if you have personal loan, for example, from the bank, then it's very good to at least cover that amount in the life insurance for 300,000-400,000, so that when something happens to you, your family is not approached for that money. So it's very important that's why life insurance is also pretty important.
Nice. So thank you, Ram. Actually, Ram covered all the things about insurance, and today actually my knowledge is also increased. So if you have any questions or anything, or if you want to go for any of the insurances that we have mentioned in this whole series, then I will put my email address below. You can contact me, and then I will direct you to Ram.
Yes, feel free to reach out to Gibran, and if you need one-on-one sessions, get in touch with him. We can do a Skype session. I can give you the full free consultation for you, specifically to you, and Yeah, it's free. So just getting to know is nothing wrong. You're not going to lose anything. Maybe you lose 1 hour of your time, but the knowledge that you gain out of this 1 hour is for a lifetime.
Yes. So what will be the next part of the video? It will be about private insurances. In Germany, there are some misconceptions about private insurances. Ram will tell us all about those misconceptions, benefit of it, and how you can get it, and what are all the things about it. So if you don't want to miss that video, then subscribe to the channel, press that bell icon thing, and see you next time. Tada.